Merrow. Good morning, and we are live from Gulfstream, Handicapper support and racing across America on this Fountain of Youth Day down at Gulfstream Park on a gorgeous morning here at Gulfstream. Don't forget, stay tuned a little bit later on. Handicapper support starting out, but a little bit later on, we'll have Racing Across America. Pete Aiello will join us, Brian Nadeau. We also have some tape pieces, Junior Alvarado. I'm interested to see Knightsbridge today, but he also has entrance in the Philly and the boys, 3-year-old races. We talked a little bit with Dale Romans. Jack Knowlton, Sakatoga, had a little event upstairs. We caught up with him. And then one of the Sakatoga partners pulled Kevin Hatcher aside. 17 years in the NHL. He was on the Olympic team, Olympic hockey team in 1998, and he's now a Sakatoga partner. So we talked a little bit with him, too. Hockey, obviously, with last week, but also how he got into the horse racing game and became a partner with Sakatoga. So, again, those tape pieces coming up as well. That'll be towards the top of the next hour, but right here, 8 a.m., kicking off with Handicapper support. Who else? Steve Bick next to me. Good morning, Steve.
It's loose on the lead here. We're in.
Oh,
we're
well,
together.
okay.
It's
I'm
loose
good with
on
that.
the lead.
I'm good with that.
If you and I are together,
I'm good with that.
It has to be loose on the lead.
I'm good with that.
It's been a great week down here, and we'll head to Tampa next. But first order of business, because I know it's morning and they might need breakfast. They want to play with Nana. Tina went out to Rochester. We got to say good morning to Lennon and Callum and Marley. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Nana. I hope maybe they'll watch 3 to 4 minutes of this.
One of those was rocking with the Girl Scout cookies a few weeks
Oh,
ago,
she
right?
killed it.
Yeah.
Lennon.
I jumped in. I bought some.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Thank you, Lennon. I think she set records. Of course, me putting it on Twitter didn't hurt. She literally led the troop.
Excellent.
So great job, Lennon. But Cal and Marley have a fun time with Nana.
Excellent. So glad to have them in the viewership out in the Rochester area. You were talking about Tampa next week. What is your schedule? Because a few more weeks you'll be out in Vegas, right, for NHC?
NHC in 2 weeks, a little less now than 2 weeks. In fact, this would be 2 weeks from today would be day 2, the Saturday card. Of course, that'll be Virginia Derby Day.
That's right.
We're going to be in Tampa Monday and Tuesday. A little unusual. I then on Tuesday night, I'm going to go to Hot Springs because Wednesday and Thursday is the National HBPA convention. And to say the least, there are some pressing issues that will be addressed. The conflagration that is starting already in advance of HISA and its board reviewing this secretive Lasix study. And they may throw everything into an absolute tizzy if they suddenly decide that there should be no Lasix at all for anybody. And if you've been paying attention the last 10 days or 2 weeks, there's been some terrific input from major stakeholders in the game. There was a letter at the beginning of the week that was signed by Bill Mott, Chad Brown, Eric Hamelbeck of HBPA, Jenna Antonucci, and Ron Moquette. And it basically implored HISA to leave things alone. Nobody is complaining about 2-year-olds, no Lasix, or graded stakes, no Lasix. But for older horses, for the rank and file cards and the fill races and to make a decent wagering product, Lasix for the older horses that aren't stakes runners, it's not hurting anybody. Leave it alone. And in May, the HISA board is going to decide whether this study that they won't let anybody else look at is going to tip the scales to abolish Lasix. And at that point, you know what? You might as well pretty much close down the game because it'll be devastating. And all you have to, I really invite you to read that letter at TDN. It's basically all over social media. Make sure you seek it out, and I'll retweet it again later today so that you, for those that haven't seen it. But it's important, and if you're involved in the game, let your trainer know where you stand, and that you want things to basically stay where they are. No, it's really worked.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's worked. No Lasix for 2-year-olds, and then moving to the graded stakes, no Lasix. The system as it is working.
And wasn't there that South African study that came out?
Yeah, that nobody wants to, that people want to pretend doesn't exist.
Yeah,
It's the fact that this has to be revisited is just at a
because
time.
that study was what 10 years ago.
Oh, more now
Yeah.
probably. The industry has got so many important issues facing it, and to dredge this up again is really counterproductive.
So what?
It's
That's
just
the end
ridiculous.
of this week.
May.
No, but you'll be down
Oh, yeah, yeah,
with
yeah.
the
I'll
meeting.
be Wednesday and Thursday at Oaklawn. Then I'll be back Friday for Tampa for the preview show for Tampa Bay Derby. Then we'll be at OBS Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Wednesday we head to Vegas for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Which is always a lot of fun.
It's
And tell
always
people
great.
to tune in. And if you like the handicapping game, we always say that's it. Players convention out there, the NHC, and you get some of the biggest players during the weekend,
Everybody stops by.
and people talking strategies and whatnot. It's always a lot of fun to listen to that. So a couple weeks down the road. All right, speaking of handicapping, you ready to jump in? Big card today.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, opener here at Gulfstream on this Fountain of Youth Day. We're going to kick things off today with an optional claimer, non-winners of one other than scheduled on the grass at a mile and 16th. What did you see in the opener?
Well, I'll say right away that other than a couple of spots where very logical horses, when it comes to the turf races today, uh, some of these are really wide open, and that includes this opener. And I literally had half the field that I was interested potentially in, and I ended up settling on a horse that I didn't necessarily find at first pass, and that was Pitkin. Here's Ian Wilkes off of the maiden win. Pitkin is a Witham homebred. You may have remembered the Dam Walkabout, who was a nice stakes runner for the Withams and for Ian. And Pitkin stretched out on grass in this first start as a 3-year-old or 4-year-old and broke the maiden. And suddenly everything kind of came together. When that happens,
Yeah,
very often they'll go on from there. So Pitkin ended up on my radar screen, kind of surprisingly. And then take a good look at the 4 in here. Discreet Dancer. Antonio Sano, who wins his share. Uh, uh, David Egan gets back on board. And if you look at that race 2 back, that allowance, he was third, beaten 3 lengths, but he's also got that performance at Churchill last May. Either of those efforts can impact this at a big price, and I think he's going to be largely ignored. Um, from there, I guess you've got to consider Chad, that uncatalyzed on the outside. On figures, he's not fast enough. But how often do you look at horses of Chad's like this that somehow, they do what they need to do? I also think being outposted is no bargain for uncatalyzed. And the other horse I used was our superhero, who will be part of the pace for Cassie. Cassie and Mrs. Weber have potentially a big day. And 6-4-7-12 for me in the opener.
I went 1-3-7-6. I put Noble Confessor on top for Pletcher, leaving for the rail. Kendrick Carmouche in town today, so he's going to be on board, and he was on board last time, which was back in November. Just missed in the Hill Prince that day. Tiz Dashing was the winner. He'll come up the Saratoga runner in the stake a little bit later on. So we're wishing everybody, Jack and the Saratoga folks, good luck there. But coming out of that race, I thought Noble Confessor was interesting. Second spot, I went to the 3 Smooth Breeze. I ride on board here. This is the second start off a layoff. And the first start off a layoff I thought was pretty good. So I could see this one stepping forward. Our superhero, as you mentioned, has a 2-race win streak coming into this, both here at Gulfstream, October and December. So in good form. Pitkin, I agree. Sometimes they get over the hump and they can string a couple together. But as you said, it's wide open. Bite and strike for Bill Mott is interesting. Uncatalyzed, I was concerned about the post position for that one, or I might have used that one, your discreet dance. A Ramble and Wreck for Dean Reeves and Danny Gargan. It's a fun race to kick things off.
Be aware as you go through this card, be aware on the turf races of the rail assignment. It's going to be at 66 feet and it's 0. And when the rail is out, the horses from the outside have a better opportunity than when the rail setting is at 0. Dick Powell taught me that
Oh, well,
years ago.
Dick's the man. And I
Years
will
the
say
man.
speed was very good on the turf yesterday, certainly.
Well, down here it's
Yeah,
always good on
yeah.
this. I mean, unless it's literally minutes after the torrential rain. This turf course largely kind of a hard and fast.
And speaking of the weather, keep your eyes on that because right now it's gorgeous and even a little humid here. But
A
there's
little humid.
there is the potential for some showers to kind of blow through.
There's some
This,
potential for showers to come from our
yeah, no,
foreheads before we're done
we have
here.
a little air blowing on us, thankfully. All right, second race today at Gulfstream. Maiden specials going 3/4 of a mile. I'm 3-7-9-1. This is one of my interesting plays today. McCann, a little bit of a price on the morning line, but there was a sibling. Valentine Candy won the career debut.
Steve Asmussen.
Yeah, went 8 for 17 overall. Matoli, a good win early sire. George Weaver can have him ready. So, yeah, a little nature and nurture.
Nature nurture. For those of you that had nature nurture on your bingo card, score. You get the free square.
Check
So
it off.
you're making progress on your bingo card.
But I'm going to take a little pop with McCann in here. Al Loud in the second spot, the number 7. Pletcher firster by Quality Road. There's a sibling called Cook Creek.
Yep.
Won the first 2 starts of the career, so win early there. And then Lincoln's Law, sibling to Chancellor McPatrick, who in the first 3 starts of the career put in the hopeful and the champagne victory. So a little bit of breeding for the Phil Bauer runner as well. Fun race, but I have a 3-7-9-1.
Well, this race, for those that dig into pedigrees, you had a lot of fun looking at this, and it started right away. Sovereign Law on the rail for Brad Cox. This is a Juddmonte homebred. The dam Sunpath is the full sister to Bonnie South, who was a major multiple graded stake winner, multiple grade 1 placed. She mixed it up with Latruska and Swiss Skydiver and the likes. This is also the family of Chris Everett, the champion 3-year-old, the 4th dam, Chris Everett.
I was going to say, you got to go back a ways for that.
Absolutely. 1974. And actually had a very fun, looking at this race got me involved in one of those proverbial rabbit holes the other day. And I got to that 1974 Travers that Chris Everett participated in. And big upset holding pattern with Mike Maselli aboard. And so I had Mike on the show to talk about it. It was kind of fun. And of course, Mike today has got Breslau in the Tom Fool. That's one of the pedigrees. You mentioned Valentine Candy. McCann absolutely has to be considered. Was a win early for Steve Asmussen. You mentioned Cook Creek and Al Loud for Tagermeen and Todd Pletcher. This pedigree really got good, and the progeny get good going long. So I kind of left that one alone. You mentioned the Chancellor McPatrick sib, Lincoln's Law, and I absolutely used 8-9-3-6 in here for me, and I'm going to give the edge to Dale Romans and another homebred of Bob Barron's. They won the stake last week with Jack's Promise, Bob Barron homebred. And this one actually ran very well in that Code Review race. And Code Review is a serious horse. I thought that Quentin B from Dale, 7-2, and I think because of the other fashionable pedigrees, I think that 7-2 might float up. Then I absolutely respected Lincoln's Law, the Chancellor McPatrick, and I folded in McCann as you did. And I'm going to tell you, Nick Zito, who's having a good winter. Nick has got a firster, 3 Mile Gold. This was a Timonium 2-year-old purchase, a Golden Sense, and that there's a pair of gate works that were pretty sharp. And there's nice pedigree, nice workout notes on 3 Mile Gold. Katie Davis aboard, and you're going to get a giant price. And I got a feeling 3 Mile Gold runs well. I don't know if he's a win candidate, but I think he could juice up your Trier Super.
All right, let's move on to kicking off stakes action in the third race. The Colonel Liam, couple $100,000 up for grabs as the 3-year-olds will go a mile on the turf. What did you see in race number 3?
Well, a smallish field, obviously, and I actually. For those that'll see my write up later, I haven't posted it. I'll wait for scratches to put everything up. But Thousand Sticks,
Yeah.
Brian Lynch is having a monstrous winter, and eh, by all rights, Thousand Sticks shouldn't lose this race. Doesn't need the lead. May get it anyway, although Honey Dutch has speed, as does IC Light. So basically, Mario Gutierrez can choose to sit off a little bit. Gutierrez has done well down here, by the way, and part of that is the work he's done for Brian Lynch. Thousand Sticks, not going to be any kind of a price. But I put him in capital letters, and I'm going to lean in the early multi-race wagers. I'm going to lean heavily on Thousand Sticks. I thought that Zeppelin was okay. The one from Rusty Arnold with Junior back aboard coming out of the Dania Beach. Argos, you got to respect. Seasonal debut for Riley Mott's first grade 1 winner. That came up at Woodbine, of course, in the summer. And I threw in Naughty Nix, who uh, has knocked heads already with Thousand Sticks and has been, within the same area code. So 6157.
I had the 6 on top too. 6, 3, 2, and 4 for me. Thousand Sticks, everything you said, and comes out of a couple of nice has a 3-race win streak, the Maiden Breaker optional claimer, but then a stakes race, the Kitten's Joy last time. So just comes in good form and makes sense. I see light. I always like this pattern. A little bit of a break, come back, 2 sprints, and then you stretch out in the third, start back. And those first 2 sprints were pretty good performances for the Cassie runner. So I see Light, I think, is playable. And Vassy coming out of the nice maiden breaker last time in a big effort, I think is set up to run well also. So for me in the third, I have it 6, 3, 2, and 4. And that does kick off one of the pick fives on the card as well.
That's the second pick five. The pick five, you get the pick five that starts in the first, in the third, in the sixth, and in the 10th, which is the all stakes pick five.
Fourth race today, the Canadian Turf Grade 3 event, $175,000 up for grabs, 8.5 furlongs on the grass. I'm 7, 4, 1, and 6. Wolfie's Dynagos is just going to take a lot of action. Obviously, Brian Lynch runner, Irad Ortiz on board, comes in raging good form, coming out of a couple of stakes victories. I like those stakes, those turf stakes at the end of the season at Churchill as producing runners to keep your eyes on going forward. This was one of them, winning in the River City. Came back down here and got the Fort Lauderdale last time. So seems logical to get it on the front end here. But I also thought the Saratoga runner, Tiz Dashing, was very interesting. I love that subdivision. Folks who watch enough know that I love the 3-year-olds on the turf. Great season at venues all around. And this Tiz Dashing was a nice member of that 3-year-old turf crop who ended the season very nicely last year, winning the Hill Prince at Aqueduct in November, and then just missing in the Tropical Park Derby down here. So I think enters the 4-year-old season and faces 4-year-olds this afternoon, faces 4-year-olds and up this afternoon in good form. And then Battle of Normandy for West Point. Had Terry Finley on yesterday, and I think Battle of Normandy in the second start back off a long layoff. I think that comebacker should have put some fitness in. So this is a horse with some back class as well. I would 7, 4, 1, and 6.
This is kind of funny because I certainly agree. Wolfie's Dynagos, it's an unbelievable Woods Lane Farm, and their amazing mare. It's one thing to introduce, a horse from a family, but he's now 8 years old.
Yeah.
And is as good or even better than ever. It's amazing. And the other thing he's got going for him in here, it's not just the form. Who's going to run with him? He's got a huge pace advantage in this spot. So I don't think he can be beat. What's interesting, Seth, is you and we don't have any common horses. It's an 8-horse field, and
Oh,
I've got 386 lining up behind Wolfie, and that's Beach Gold, who tried him 2 back, and win for the money. Certainly, I mentioned Mrs. Weber and Marcassi today. They've got several chances. And then I also included Fort Washington, who will come running and probably is up against it from a pace standpoint. It would be certainly are doing everything we can think of to get Shug off the duck. His horses have run okay. They just
Yeah.
haven't. They just have not won. So 7-3-8-6 for me, and it feels like for small budgets, Wolfie's Dynagost is another heavy lean when you're building your tickets.
Race number 5, we'll take this one and then go to a break. But the 5th race today, we're looking at more maiden specials in here. They'll go the 1-turn mile. What did you see in race number 5? Another nice little maiden race.
Well, at first glance, I assumed sort of that Criteria was going to be very tough to beat. 9-5 for Chad and Klarovich. This is a Yaupin out of a Bernardini mare, so I guess that's where the anticipated stretch out ability would come from. But then the more I looked at the race, the more Royal Crescent bubbled up on my radar screen. And Royal Crescent is another horse that's exiting that code review maiden breaker near the end of January. And 9-2, and I don't think there's much separating Royal Crescent from Criteria. And the fact that Tyler Gaffleone came from a little bit off and was making some progress late on Royal Crescent going 6 furlongs. I think the mile is going to suit this quality road colt. And so Royal Crescent for me, and I don't think you need to go much deeper than the 8 and the 7 in here. If you're looking for value, Tarek Mubarak has got Kings Wear Crowns. He's going to be a price with Egan from the rail. And then I thought Steele, 15-1 seemed silly. There were some good work notes on the Mott runner, the Tappet out of a Soto mare, and so I went 8-7-1-3.
Yeah, I will readily admit the two you mentioned, I looked at, and I may regret, particularly because I love Chad Brown and Klarovich runners early, but I left those two out. I went 9, 11, 3, and
Left them
4.
out.
Hickman Road. That I think it's a race where you can kind of play around a little bit, but we'll see how that works out. But Hickman Creek, the number 9 horse, sibling Laurel River won the second start. Castle Warden second, third, then a couple of wins. Lagoon Falls won the first 2 starts of the career. It's Brad Cox. It's a Constitution runner with Irad on board. I'm going to take a shot there. The number 11 for Todd Pletcher, a little bit of breeding there. Sibling just better. Second in debut, won the next 2 starts. Better bet. Won in the second career start, so a little bit of breeding there. And then in the third spot, I did use Steele, who has some win early siblings, as well as Obesos, one of those who won in the second
For the
career
great
start.
Greg Foley.
And Power Aura, I thought was a little bit interesting. Had some a couple of siblings that won the career debut there as well. So I'm a little off the radar here. We'll see how that works out for me. But in the 5th, I have it 9, 11, 3, and 4. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, more from Gulfstream Park. Stay tuned.
The championship season is on at Gulfstream Park. Great horse racing action Thursday through Sunday. Come out and enjoy the world's best horses, trainers, and jockeys as they compete over the Hallandale Beach Oval all season long. Take your experience up a notch and join us in 10 Palms Restaurant with unbeatable track views, outstanding dining, and convenient wagering options. For reservations, event schedules, tickets, and more, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
Think horse racing is too complicated? Think again.
And they're off.
Every pro was a newbie once. Meet DRF Newbie, the mobile tool loaded with daily racing form data and the power of DRF AI.
Corner stalker.
Get the insights you need fast so you can play smarter and feel more confident. DRF Newbie, horse racing made simple. Try it free today. Visit newbie.drf.com.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Welcome back. We are live from Gulfstream Park again, and I like that. Loose on the lead on the road. I like that. That's perfect. Seth Merrow, Steve Bick, going through today's nice Fountain of Youth card. Don't forget, we will also have a little Racing Across America coming up a little bit later on. Pete Aiello will join us. Brian Nadeau will join us. We also have some fun tape pieces. Junior Alvarado, Dale Romans, Jack Knowlton, and NHLer Kevin Hatcher, who's part of the Sakatoga team, and talked a little bit hockey with him and horse racing. All of that coming up a little bit later on, but let's kick back in. Another pick five kicks off in race number 6. The Here Comes the Bride, a couple $100,000 up for grabs as the 3-year-old fillies will go a mile on the turf. For me in this 6th, I'm 9, 5, 3, and 2. Sister Troyenne on top, Brian Lynch runner. I was concerned about the post, but seemed to overcome that last time. It didn't have any trouble getting it done in the Swedish chant, leaving from the outside. So I'm going to land back there. A horse that's in very good form, obviously, having won 5 of 6, the last 5 after the debut effort being a third. So this is a very talented runner. Sapphire Beach in the 2nd spot for Rusty Arnold, coming off a nice little sprint win after having sat out most of the latter part of last season. So it was a pretty good looking comeback effort. Stretch out is the concern, but what we've seen so far, there's some talent here. And Brat Pack goes out for a Grand Motion, 3rd in the Swedish chant last time off a maiden breaker. So that was a step up and seemed to get some nice experience there to move forward from. So 9, 5, 3, and 2.
Well, you and I finally kind of agree on something. 9-5 on top for me as well. And then I folded in the 10 Spirit Doll and the 4 Bossy Candy from Cassie and a Candy Ride filly that's making the seasonal debut and also a turf debut. Only ran on the synthetic up at Woodbine, and I think you pretty much captured the essence in here. Sister Troyenne is very serious, and of course. This is again Woods Lane and Dinah Passer, and you very well may get sibling winners on the card for them. So yeah, 9, 5, 10, 4. Not a lot to add.
And we may have a agreement in the Gulfstream Park Mile as well. I'm very intrigued for this race because King Knightsbridge has been just a monster the last couple of races. But the Gulfstream Park Mile, race number 7, Grade 3 event, the 1-turn mile. Your thoughts on the 7?
Well, my thought is, why is he running here? Why is he running in? Are they just gonna jump around and scoop up every pot that they can find? I was very surprised that he turned up in this spot, having just run
I got to think
4
that they're
weeks
looking
ago.
looking at the Met up in Saratoga, right?
What's the rush to come back in 4 weeks
Yeah.
and run here again? I was a little surprised, but I guess they're going to scoop up all the chips of all the opportunities, starting with that Mr. Prospector and then the Fred Hooper. He's on the 3-race win streak, and the one question you're going to have in here about him is whether Flavian Pratt is going to go after him from the berth next door with Mika from Mike Maker. And
Except Life and Times went after him last time and wound up.
no doubt,
Yeah.
that's the risk that you run. But that Cigar Mile try, if you go back to last December from Mika, that was a serious effort, and he runs that race. He's going to extend Knightsbridge plenty. I'm going to use Classic, of course, the 4 from Patrick Biancone, who might get a very, very clever trip with Louis Saez aboard. I just as a C, just as a backup, but I at some point, I'm going to ask if they're going to the well too often with Knightsbridge.
He was just a monster those the last 2 races, and again, Life and Times is going to
Even Godzilla,
Well,
Godzilla got taken down. Mothra got her shots in, and so the monster doesn't always win.
But Life and Times is going to turn out to be a good one, I think. And as they say, they dueled and put away that one. So I'll put him on top. I have Mika in the 2nd spot again. Going back to that Cigar, I think Rebound. I'm going to draw a line through that Pegasus. The horse is better than that. And then Steel Sunshine in the 3rd spot for Bobby Davona. Had a little trouble in the Hooper. I'm going to look for a rebound to a better. one of the better efforts from Steel Sunshine. I think could put that one in the mix as well. So 7th race, Gulfstream Park Mile, 6, 5, 3, and 2 for me. 8th race, we're looking at optional claimers with the C condition, again, scheduled on the grass at 8.5 furlongs. And in this 8th race, I'm 8, 1, 3, and 9. I'm going to put Burnham Square on top. This is a horse that obviously has had a nice kind of fun career. They tried the turf at Kentucky Downs last time and seemed to appreciate it. But as it was Kentucky Downs, we're talking about, going back to August. So how's the horse going to come back from the layoff? And again, moves in against older to start the 4-year-old season on the turf. So we'll see. But I'm going to take a shot that on class, maybe Burnham Square is going to have a little bit of an edge. Tenacious Leader for Todd Pletcher, last seen at Keeneland in October, so a little bit of a layoff for this one as well. But those 2 starts at Keeneland were very good, including a stakes race in the latest. John Velasquez back on board today. So when we saw this horse last, some good form. If it holds over to the seasonal debut, could be tough. And Cruise Denial, lightly raced for Graham Motion, but a nice series of improving buyers. Start 1, start 2, start 3. If that progression continues, Cruise Denial, very intriguing as well, being lightly raced. So 8, 1, 3, and 9 for me in the 8th.
The 8, 1, and 3, I agree with, but I'll tell you what, I put an entirely different spin on this. Take a look at Brian Lynch, the 10 here, Dash Man, and I ended up with Dash Man on the seasonal debut. This is a 5-year-old by Oscar Performance, and a horse that won the McKnight here last year, then raced only one other time at Kentucky Downs, and then was put away, has been working up a storm for the seasonal debut. And I thought Dash Man was a nice number as well, 6-1. So I put him on top. Burnham Square, I don't know how many, I think people are going to get tired of me reminding about the horrific beat that we took at Kentucky Downs last year in that Nashville Derby. I mean, he looked like a winner, and I actually watched the race with Ian, only to see that Wimbledon Hawkeye nail him at the wire, and that was rough. Edgar Zayas gets reacquainted with Burnham here. He absolutely is a win candidate. Tenacious Leader, I absolutely respect from down inside. Is going to save plenty of ground, and has gotten, at the end of the year, got quite good. That Brian Station try, he lost to Greg Foley, and troubleshooting. And you mentioned Cruise the Nile. For those of you that that follow our exploits down to Monmouth, in fact, was talking about Monmouth with Al Gold yesterday. Hope Jones, of course, the one of the 2 Haskell sisters, Amory Haskell's 2 daughters, Isabel De Tomaso and Hope Jones, and Cruise the Nile, a homebred, and one of those she drops her foals in New Jersey. This horse absolutely is a player in here. I don't know if being on the front end is necessarily going to be the right trip for Cruise the Nile. And I also have to look up Party Boat. I cannot remember if Graham trained her or Chuck Simon may have trained Party Boat. And Marty McGee and I and Chuck have a win photo with one of Hope Jones's horses that Chuck trained down here that I really treasure. And I can't, I there's a chance that it is Party Boat, but maybe not. I might be just manifesting that, but I agree. 10, 8, 3, and 1 for me.
Nice to throw a little Chuck Simon remembrance in.
Always.
9th race this afternoon. It's a starter handicap, a 1.70 on the synthetic. Nice full field in here. What did you see in race number 9?
Well, we talked all week about the card and how to bet it, and here's the start of the Rainbow Six. This race on the Tapeta in the middle of the card it is a little problematic. I mean, you want to put this in the early pick 4, pick 5. Okay, I get it. Run it as the 4th or run it as the 2nd. But to run this as the 9th, where you've got, luckily it's not part of the, we got after this, you've got the all stakes pick 5 starting. But I thought this was a little bit of a problematic placement. More problematic is the fact that about 9 of these 12 can win. It's I mean, this is really a grab bag. There's also some very funny overlap here between Joe Orsino and Mark Cassie and DJ Stables. It's a good thing. It's a good thing that the days of ownership entries is over, because this would be one of those like 3 horse entries. Uh, I put horsepower on top without a lot of confidence. That's Orsino and DJ with Arad Ortiz. Arad draws your attention wherever he lands. I thought that Chow Chuck deserved some attention in here. This is the 6 for Fernando Ebro, and you get the services of Flavian Pratt. Uh, I added in Iron Hand. Now, there's no colder barn anywhere than Jose D'Angelo right now. That's been well documented. However, if you look at Iron Hand, go back to last winter and then into the spring when he was put on the synthetic. On this synthetic, he took off. He won 4 straight on the Tapeta course here. And subsequently, he has tried some tougher spots, admittedly, and he's been on the grass. Now he comes back to this surface. I think he's going to get kind of largely ignored because of what's going on with the D'Angelo barn. So I'm using Iron Hand and then go back outside. Private Thoughts. Ronnie Spatz, one of the great veteran trainers in Florida, won the other day. I haven't seen Ronnie this week while I've been down, but Private Thoughts, and actually it was Ron Nicoletti yesterday that kind of opened my eyes to the merits of Private Thoughts. So 11, 6, 3, and 12 for me in a mysterious synthetic handicap.
Yeah, and I don't jump in with a lot of confidence because I used a couple of years and they're on the outside, and I'm a little concerned. I have an 11, 12, 9, and 6, and with the post positions, but horsepower comes in very good form and makes sense. And as you say, I ride on board, so I'm going to tilt there. Private Thoughts again, also coming in good form. Nice win 2 back in a similar event. Decent little third in a similar event last time, running behind horsepower. But again, the post position to me is a big concern for both of those, as it really is for number 9, Prevent. But there's some early speed here. So I think with the early speed, that one may get out.
Yeah.
Then I use Chow Chuck underneath as well. Iron Hand, as you were talking, I was kind of looking back, and you're right. You go back to the
Those
synthetic
4 straight
race.
wins.
I may have to look at Iron Hand a little bit as well. All right, one more before we take another break, and that is the very one, as you noted, an all stakes pick 5 kicking off here. Race number 10, the very one, grade 3 event, mile and 3/8 on the grass. I'm 4, 3, 1, and 9. I'm going to put the Mark Cassie, Irad Ortiz Candy Quest on top, coming off a turf try over at Tampa. That was pretty good in the Endeavor. Nice little second place finish. That was off a little bit of a layoff at the end of the season, but it was a good way to kind of kick things off for 2026, and I think sets the horse up nicely for today. Venencia in the second spot, Safi Joseph runner, Tyler Gaffleone on board. Last couple of starts, maybe a little bit disappointing, but, they were uh, nice little races over here at Gulfstream to kind of kick things off. Well, end the season and kick things off late December and January. But that Keeneland race, you go 3 back in the Dowager. I'm kind of hanging my hat on that a little bit. And then Gallant Greta in the third spot, Mike Maker runner that I think, again, has some back races that if we get to, can be a player in here. 4, 3, 1, and 9.
Interesting. I leaned on Venencia. Uh, Something of a price preference at 6-1, and there's not a lot of speed here. And Gaffleone's presence, I think, is notable because he'll put Venencia wherever she needs to be based on how they spill out of the gate. And that, I think, is going to be an important factor. I no-show Sammy Joe, to me, is the horse to beat. So 3-9 on top. And then I had a little interest in Love Song. Mike Stidham is having a terrific winter. He could have kept this horse at fairgrounds, and there'll be opportunities in coming weeks as they head toward Louisiana Derby Day. And Stidham is placing his horses really well. At 8-1, I think Love Song deserves some respect in here. And then just basking at 20-1. This is a nice exotic candidate that figures to pick up pieces into a moderate pace. So 3982 in the very one. If Marty McGee, if Marty McGee is watching and you don't say the very one because her name was the very one, Marty gets mad.
I noted that yesterday because as I teed up Ron Nicolay to talk about the race, I said, and the very one. And then he did that. And I said, well, let me correct myself. It's the very, because yes, the horse's name was the very one. All right. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll complete our look at this nice Fountain of Youth card. And we will include, of course, the Fountain of Youth coming up. So stay tuned.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
You like free money? Well, Capital OTB gives its players plenty of opportunities to cash in. At Capital OTB, there are so many ways for horse players to receive bonus dollars by simply participating in promotions such as our bankrolls, bounty bets, online handicapping contests, and much, much more. Plus, with Capital OTB's player rewards program, you get actual cash back. So what are you waiting for? Log on today at capitalotb.com or capitalotbbet.com and claim your free money.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back. Loose on the Lead, live from Gulfstream Park. Loose on the Lead on the road. Typically, you see us on Sunday mornings up in Saratoga, but it's fun to be here late February.
They see you.
Well,
they may or may not see me.
You're there more than half of the time.
That's
but yeah,
Tina says the same thing.
Typically, you're on the road someplace all year long, but we get you over there at Saratoga. You made a great point that the very one kicks off that. Pick three that has become very popular down here.
Not just here either. Oaklawn is doing the $3 get out take three and a $5 late double. Santa Anita, of course, with Gulfstream, they started it. I went after that pick six yesterday at Santa Anita, which was worth playing, but it did prove to be tricky. But these higher denomination bets, for those of us that are frustrated with the money that pours in from the computer groups and the late odds changes and the things that are really upsetting, rightly so, the general horse playing population, which is guys like us and you. The higher denomination wagers, they're staying out of those pools, and it's a better place for us, and it's outpaying. They're all outpaying.
Yeah, you get great value.
They're paying 2-3 times the parlay every single time, even when you get all chalk. So take a look. It's also a very good exercise in terms of your ticket building efforts, because at $3 an increment or at $5 on the double, you can't go 6 by 4. I mean, there are people that will, but it's much more of a rifle approach than a shotgun approach that the 50-cent pick fours and pick fives have turned into. So for those of you that haven't played the higher denomination, you may find that it's where your betting dollar should be going.
All right, race number 11. Again, big days like this, the 3-year-old boys with the big race. There's always a big race for the 3-year-old girls as well. And here today, it's the Davona Dale Grade 2 event for the 3-year-old fillies going a mile. How'd you see it?
I don't know if they're using the graphic, but I did when I sent in. They are.
Yeah.
When I put my plays, and emailed them to Albany, I called this the DePaula play of the day because this is the kind of horse that during the summer you see me reach for all the time. Here is Ian Wilkes with Omaha Bay. Ian Wilkes is not running a second-time starter in a Grade 2 stake to get a nice table for Jim Gladden. If Ian is running in this spot and this filly looks like she could easily jump forward off of that fairly easy maiden win back in December. It feels like everything from that point was designed to get here and run her in the Davona Dale. 6-1 a morning line. I think that might even tick up a point or two. You might even, I don't know if she'll be a $20 horse, but she's certainly going to be a $15 horse. Omaha Bay for me in caps. Now, that isn't to say that, nobody else can win, because obviously you look at Brad Cox with On Time Girl, pretty much the horse to beat. Swing vote back here for Bill Mott is another win candidate. And I think Imperatrice, you got to look hard at in here as well for Todd. Second to On Time Girl at 7 furlongs, but broke the maiden going the mile. So I went 4, 9, 7, 5. And I will tell you that conversation yesterday with David Aragona. David thinks that She Be Smooth is a serious consideration in this spot as well. Very nice addition of the Davona Dale, but I want a price, and I want Ian Wilkes in here. It could be a good day for the two buddies, Ian Wilkes and Brian Lynch.
And yeah, I was on the radio with you yesterday over in the Horseman's Lounge listening to David Aragona, and I like that because I'm right there as well. 9, 8, 7, and 5. Couldn't get past On Time Girl, but I thought She Be Smooth might add some value to the play if you're going to do a little exact in there. Career debut looked pretty good. And yeah, Pletcher comes in off a debut victory to Tri-Stakes Company, and I think is going to be legit. Flavian Proddenborn. Swing vote for Bill Mott, I think, is interesting as well off the maiden breaker last time. Got a little experience. And another one of those 6 furlongs, 6 furlongs. Now we stretch out to a mile. I like that pattern as well. So for me in the Davona Dale, 9, 8, 7, and 5. All right, race number 12 is the Honey Fox, Grade 3 event. They're on the grass going a mile, and in the Honey Fox, I have it 9, 6, 10, and 2. Put Lush Lips on top. I mean, this is just a really good runner for Brendan Walsh throughout the career. 9 exacta finishes and 11 career starts, and that includes the last 2 wins. That QE2 Cup, I said, I like those turf races at Churchill at the end of the meet. Mrs. Revere is another one of those horses to watch going forward. And this one comes out of a win in the QE2 at Keeneland and that Mrs. Revere at Churchill. So I'll put Lush Lips on top. Second slot, we'll look at Moving On Up for Safi Joseph. Third start back off a late season layoff from August to December. Good run in the Swanee River. Good try in the Pegasus World Cup filly and mare turf. So I think his setup in the third start back to run well for, again, Safi, Luis Saez, and Ken Ramsey. And Creval d'Oro, talked to Jose D'Angelo about this one a couple of days ago. You might have seen the interview on Racing Across America yesterday. Nice win in the Swanee River. Close up second in the Pegasus World Cup filly and mare turf. I think comes in very good form and set up to run well with Irad Ortiz hopping on board today. So 9, 6, 10, and 2.
Well, we're pretty much in agreement. I've got 9, 6, 10, and then I used the 8 Public Defender, another one of the Safi runners. At first, when the PPs came out, I said, all right, Lush Lips is, semi-automatic in here in the comeback. Brendan Walsh will have her ready to start her season. She is going to be one of the leaders of the division. And then upon closer inspection, I absolutely respect Moving On Up and Creval d'Oro. That was a murderous beat. Got nailed by Destino Doro and Junior Alvarado at the wire. Last time, we're obviously not going to get anything even approaching the 31-1 that we had on offer on Creval d'Oro. But Lush Lips, and I think because of some of the other difficult spots, I think I'm going to lean a little bit a strong A on Lush Lips, a solid B on Moving On Up. And I'm going to hope I can get through with the 9 and the 6.
And Mrs. Weber's horse, I think, is interesting too. Super Zonda.
Moving in the right direction,
Yeah.
Super Zonda, but is going to have to take a significant step forward again here.
The 13th, the Armada. I'm never sure. The name of that horse is pronounced differently. Everybody who says it.
I've always said, and this goes back to people like, let's see, Scotty Schulhofer, who trained him. McDarmida is the way we've always heard it. So I see people say McDarmida.
Yeah.
McDarmida.
13th, lucky 13th, grade 2 event, a mile and 3/8 on the grass. How'd you see it?
We played layabout in that McKnight last month, and I don't see what's supposed to derail him in this setting. So I went right back to layabout, and I didn't have a great alternative. I think Anagata for Maker deserves plenty of consideration. And these are the spots that Maker made his bones. And Kirk Wyckoff, 3 diamonds, and coming out of the nice win in the John Connolly. But this is a horse that rarely misfires. So Anagata is the alternative to layabout. I didn't want to use Grand Sonata, but then I couldn't find a reason not to, actually. So the 5 in there a little bit. And finally, Graham Motion expected, I think, a little bit better in that allowance try the first time North America for without the Wertheimer product, the Lope de Vega 4-year-old. And so he fell a little short, and I got a feeling he'll be a little bit more prepared for the assignment today. So I'm using the 2 underneath, 3, 6, 4, 2.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do without, but it wouldn't surprise me. I went 6, 3, 7, and 5. I put Anagata on top, Mike Maker runner, as you mentioned, and comes in off a win down at Sam Houston in the Connolly. So comes in good form. Irad Ortiz hops on board. I'm going to take a little pop there. Layabout obviously makes a lot of sense for Patrick Biancone coming in good form with a couple of nice stakes wins coming into this, the Tropical Park Derby to kind of end the 3-year-old season and kicking off the 4-year-old season with a win in the McKnight. And then in the third spot, Severev, who another nice runner for Mike Maker, had a win streak snapped last time in the McKnight, but I think can rebound and run well today. 6, 3, 7, and 5. All right, let's get to the feature. Race number 14, wrapping up the action. Scheduled to go off at about 6:15 tonight, about 10 after 6 tonight. Fountain of Youth, grade 2 event for the 3-year-olds going a mile and a 16th. I'm going to take a little swing in here. I have it 7, 1, 10, and 4. I'm going to take a shot with Napoleon Solo.
Take a shot.
Well,
it's the second choice.
Yeah, no, and you're right, but no, you're right. But I think it's taking a shot off the layup because that is a huge question mark.
It is a question mark.
That's champagne. Yeah. Well, I'm going to be interested to see what the odds are when everything is said and done off the layoff, because just talking to people around, people are concerned about the layoff, and I think Commandment is going to take a lot of action, obviously. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's a logical player because that champagne was spectacular. So we'll see what we get off the comeback, but certainly has been working well. So I'm going to use Napoleon Solo on top. Jackson Hole, I think, is very interesting. Coming off the win against optional claimers, non-winners of 2 lifetime over at Fairgrounds to get a win going 2 turns, and then Solitude Dude, undefeated, Commandment in the mix for me as well. You could point to those 4 and maybe a couple others, and would be, Chief Wallaby, I didn't have any idea what to do with really off of the lone start. And Bill Mott kind of, I'm looking for an allowance, but we'll go here. So I'm curious to see what he does as well. But as I say, I'm 7, 1, 10, and 4.
Here's my question. You've got 3 of the speeds.
Yeah.
How is it possible that all 3 survive? And that's the problem. And I got a lot of respect for Solitude Dude and Jackson Hole. This would not be the first time in the Fountain of Youth that some horse forgot to stop. And it's a distinct possibility. And I'm sure Pete Aiello is ready for that possible eventuality. I did take a shot. Safi Joseph has got Bravaro in here. He cross-entered him in the Rebel and drew the rail, but he ends up staying home. Part of that was potential travel issues, but it doesn't matter. Bravaro was 2 for 2 going into the Holy Bull. Nearly beat him, and he was 5 and change behind Nearly. Nearly is the only horse that's finished in front of Bravaro. The horse is working really well. I think he's going to be so much tighter. Second off this layoff, that 47 and 1 half mile 2 weeks ago, absolutely got nice remarks from the Clocker report, from DRF Clocker report. Basically, he passed his 2-turn test really well in that spot. He's 8 to 1. I think we're going to get every bit of 8 to 1. Bravaro is the play for me. Commandment, obviously, deserves respect. Second choice to me. I ended up using Napoleon Solo. I wanted to be against him. For those of you that have read the Clocker report, and then I saw Al Gold yesterday. Al loves the way he's working. Granted, he's not 100%, tight and screws tight for this, but it might be enough to acquit himself nicely. And then I think Bill Mott is absolutely cold watering everybody with Chief Wallaby. Oh, I didn't want to run, and the race didn't go, and I think it's a bunch of nonsense, and I got a feeling that this Chief Wallaby will be ready to turn in a good race. So don't buy into the the negative hype from Mott on Chief Wallaby. I think you have to have horses in this thing from off the pace or behind the speed. There's just too much speed in here, Seth.
Yeah, Commandment may wind up just playing
that's
into
why
that
Bravaro.
perfectly.
Look at Bravaro.
Yeah,
Look at his style. He was making progress, but by the time he made his move, Nearly had run off. So 8 to 1, both 3-year-old races, upsets in both of them today.
All right, we just have a couple minutes left, but maybe some thoughts on the Gotham and the Rebel. Gotham, I'm 6-9, 2-3. I went kind of logical with Iron Honor, but I thought Dirty Rich coming up from Oaklawn, a couple of stakes races for Peter Miller at a price. I thought Dirty Rich was a little bit playable in the Gotham as well.
Nice. I thought that Iron Honor was obvious and was going to be very tough to beat. David Aragona made a good point. He's being asked off the layoff to go a mile, and we don't know yet if that is going to be to his liking, but I still think he's the horse to beat. I've got tremendous respect for the Ohio bred, Crown the Buckeye. I think there's a case to be made that 4th and 1 is usable in here. There's nothing wrong with Safi's Hammond. Stretching out another furlong from the Swale, and you bring up Dirty Rich. P.D. Miller is having a terrific winter, and I was surprised to see him in the entries. So the Gotham, it isn't necessarily going to be a race that's going to put a bunch of horses in the wood or create some serious runners for classics. But there's some good one-turn horses in here, and we'll certainly get some Woody Stevens horses out of this.
Quick thought tomorrow in the Rebel. I'm 2-7, 6-8. I went litmus test. Coming in from the West Coast for Bob Baffert. He invades Oaklawn successfully a lot, but the 2 Cassie horses, I'm think Strategic Risk will rebound. Silent Tactic and Rancho Santa Fe, very interesting to me as well in there.
Well, we managed to put together that superfecta in the Southwest, and we keyed off of, as it happens, we keyed off of Soldier and Diplomat, who finished second to Silent Tactic in that spot. He ends up drawing wide again, and so Jose Ortiz this time is going to have to prompt from out there. Rancho Santa Fe, amazing. He got Flavian Pratt. Now he gets Irad. Litmus Test is the horse to beat. Class President is a serious player in here.
I didn't use it, but I'm scared.
And Silent Tactic is authentic. Do not think that he's this year's Sandman. And by the way, Sandman, of course, today in the Razorback, at a very good Razorback later with Magnitude. And What's New, Jimmy DeVito's emergent horse. So the racing around the country, just outstanding.
Steve, appreciate it as always. Loose on the lead on the road. We tell
Love
people to tune in Sirius and XM. You'll have a lot of coverage of this weekend, and looking forward, as you say, you're headed out of town and then going around in a couple of weeks down at NHC. I highly recommend tuning in for that. As they say, you get to pick the brains of some of the best players in the game with the radio commentary on the NHC. But appreciate the visit this morning. Good luck this afternoon.
I love doing this. I think this is the third time we've done
Yeah.
it in 4 years, and I was happy to hear that you were coming for Fountain and not for Florida Derby, because Fountain of Youth is my favorite of all.
It's a good day.
I mean, there's a lot of great. We've got 4 great weekends here every winter season, but Fountain of Youth is the goods.
Yeah, it's fun. Steve, appreciate it. All right, we'll wrap it up. And Pete Aiello is in the green room. We'll get Pete up here a little bit later on. Brian Nadeau. And again, we have some tape pieces coming up. Probably after we wrap up, you'll stay tuned for those coming up a little bit later on. But take a quick break. Stay tuned.
The championship season is on at Gulfstream Park. Great horse racing action Thursday through Sunday. Come out and enjoy the world's best horses, trainers, and jockeys as they compete over the Hallandale Beach Oval all season long. Take your experience up a notch and join us in 10 Palms Restaurant with unbeatable track views, outstanding dining, and convenient wagering options. For reservations, event schedules, tickets, and more, head to GulfstreamPark.com.
Think horse racing is too complicated? Think again.
And they're off.
Every pro was a newbie once. Meet DRF Newbie, the mobile tool loaded with daily racing form data and the power of DRF AI.
Corner shocker.
Get the insights you need fast so you can play smarter and feel more confident. DRF Newbie, horse racing made simple. Try it free today. Visit newbie.drf.com.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Welcome back. Happy to be joined now, as you see, as promised before the break, Pete Aiello, the announcer down here at Gulfstream. Pete, good morning.
Morning, Seth. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. Happy to have you on board to talk a little Fountain of Youth and just the career in general. And I always do a little bio information on people before they come in. And reading about you, I was going to have you kind of take people through your career a little bit. Oh, first, you went to the Racetrack Industry Program. Talk a little bit about that, because I think for folks who may be watching, if we have young people watching that maybe are unaware of that, that's a great way to kind of get into the game.
Yeah, well, and that was the key for me because, I come from a fan's perspective, always have, always did. I didn't have anybody in the industry. We were always just fans, my grandfather, my father, and me. And so from that perspective, how do you break into the industry just as a fan? You don't really have any connections to get in. So I remember watching the 2001 Preakness from the Palm Beach Kennel Club, and that was kind of that eureka moment that maybe I wanted to be a track announcer. I remember Dave Rodman's call like it was burned in my brain with point given winning. And so I said, well, how do I pursue that? And saw an ad in the Racing Forum for the Racetrack Industry Program, and Luke Wright-Boss, who was the announcer at Churchill at the time, he was the one that was on the ad. I said, well, hey, they're cranking out track announcers. I guess I'll give it a try. And I was fortunate enough to have lunch with him my freshman year, and he kind of mentored me along and got me some opportunities, and we went from there.
Yeah, Luke got a lot of people's style. I unfortunately, I never had a chance to meet him, but everybody has good memories of Luke, certainly. And talk a little bit about again, doing a little bio information. It sounds like you have some good stories from early on fair racing, which Tom Durkin, I've had him on. He's talking about kind of sitting on a flatbed calling fair races and whatnot.
Yeah, my first race call was at Relito Park in Tucson, Arizona, and that was kind of the Saratoga of the fairs. And then the fair season was after that. And the first time you could say that I was the track announcer anywhere was the Cochise County Fair in Douglas, Arizona, which was about 2 miles on the U.S. side of the border from Agua Prieta, Mexico. And it was a piece of plywood, that platform with a bunch of 2x4s. It was like a stand almost, but everybody was in. It was maybe about the size of where we are now, and everybody was in there. The placing judges, the stewards, everybody. And I had a handheld microphone. But the thing that I remember the most about it was it stuck out over the track. So if the horse was in the 3 or 4 path, you were looking down over top to call the photos. It was an impossible scenario from there. But I worked that, and then I went to Sonora, Arizona, where I saw later they got a real setup, but when I was working there, it was a fire escape ladder. So when we would go to the carnival to get food, we would have a basket on a pulley, and we would tell somebody upstairs, "Hey, hoist it up," and you're climbing up this fire escape as your cheeseburger's going up in a basket on the same side.
That's great. And there was also a good story in college. You got to announce at Tampa for.
Oh yeah, that was crazy. I actually just went to Tampa Wednesday. And
I saw that on your Twitter. It's been too long. I love Tampa, and I haven't been there in a long time. I got to get over there.
It's so great.
Yeah.
I mean, and I remember that. So Richard Grunder, who everybody knows, I know he hadn't missed. I didn't know this at the time, and I won't get emotional thinking about it, but I do. He hadn't missed a call there in almost 20 years, and he broke the streak to let me call the last race on New Year's Eve. Because, I just called these fair races and nobody's hiring me off of those demo tapes. And Seth, I think at the time I didn't even have a demo tape. So Margot Flynn talked to Richard, and Richard said, yeah, the kid can call one. And I remember that at the time, my binoculars, I had dropped them down the stairs at Calder about 5 or 6 times. So you could only see out of one eye. And so I'm sitting up there, I'm warming up the horses, and, this is a big deal. This is the first time anybody's ever heard me. So if I'm no good, that's the end of that. And I get up there, and I'm nervous as can be. And one of the stewards comes over, Dennis Lima, and he comes over and he says, "You okay, kid?" I said, "I'll be fine." And he sees the binoculars. He says, "You're not going to use those things, are you?" And he walks over and he hands me like a $900 pair, nicer pair than I use now. And he says, "Here, use these." And I always say that if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be sitting here because I'd have choked on that call. And they gave me a 2-year-old race going long because they said, they'll string out by the 5/8. The 2-year-olds haven't been 2 turns in a while. They're 8 across the track going into the first turn. We had a horse break a rein down the backside, and then 2 horses hooked up at the 3/8 and went affirmed in Alidar all the way down the stretch. So it was about as hard a race as you can call, but I got through it, and here I am.
Yeah, and if I have the story right, you didn't mention it to kind of your mentor, Luke, but somehow he found out and gave you a call and said,
yeah, to this day, I mean, you talk about the mysteries of all mysteries. The only people who knew that I was calling that race was Margot Flynn, Richard Grunder, and my father. And somehow I'm sitting in the grandstand right before the race, and the phone rings. And I hadn't talked to him in 6 or 7 months. And I said, "Hey, Luke, what's up?" He says, "I hear you're calling the last at Tampa today." I said, "Yeah." I said, "How'd you find that out?" He said, "Well, I have my connections." I said, "Well, what do you think?" He says, "Well, I'm glad you didn't ask me. I'd have tried to talk you out of it." I said, "Talk me out of it? What do you mean?" He says, "Well, kid," he goes, "if you're no good, I can't help you now. You're exposed." He says, "So this is your career. Good luck." Talk about pressure.
Yeah, no pressure.
Yeah.
No pressure there. That's great. And then talk a little bit about the lineup of tracks you've called at now.
So I graduated from the University of Arizona. I did not, of course, track announcer jobs aren't readily available. So I got a job in the racing office at Prairie Meadows in Altoona, Iowa, and I worked there for about 2 months. And then the track announcer job came open at River Downs in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I took that job and left the racing office. That was my first job at a real track, so to speak. And that was the best announcer's booth I've ever even been in to this day, let alone work from. I mean, it was absolutely, if you could create a lab for announcers, it was absolutely perfect. So I worked there, and then ended up back at home. I'm from South Florida, and Hialeah was always my dream. That was always, I got hooked on the game there. I'm here because I'm working there. It's just, I could go on and on, but I didn't get hired as the announcer. I got hired as an assistant for publicity. And John Lees was the announcer. He had an engagement at Lone Star the night before. So they let me call the first day, which to this day is top 3 life moment, getting to call the first day of Hialeah reopening. 32,000 people. We had no announcer booth. You were in the grandstand. They knocked a few partitions down in grandstand boxes and laid some aluminum sheeting. and we all just worked from there. So you were in and amongst the crowd calling around 32,000 people. It was absolutely insane.
That's wild. And a little Oaklawn too.
Yeah, so I worked at Aiello. Then I'm friends with Larry, and Larry was going away when they started summer racing here. And the story goes that he said, "Well, they asked me for somebody cheap and local. I gave them your name." so I ended up working here as the summertime guy, and then I would go back to Hialeah in the wintertime. And then Oaklawn called in 2016 when Frank got the Santa Anita gig, and I spent one winter at Oaklawn. And then Larry decided he wanted to take winters off, so they hired me year-round here, and I've been year-round here ever since.
And you were at the sister track So when Frank went to call
I
the
got to go out to
Belmont,
Santa Anita to fill in for Frank. That was
when he was
an
out
amazing
in Saratoga
experience.
for Belmont.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been kind of a. So how long have you been here full time?
Full time, however many Pegasuses. So that's 10, because the first winter I was here full time was the first Pegasus. I started. I think I'm on year 12 now. I did a couple of summers on top of that. So 2013. So it's getting ready to be 13 years.
Good gig, right?
Amazing gig. I mean, and I'm a Florida bred. I'm from South Florida. So, the idea that I'm sitting on set talking to you, getting ready to call 14 races in the Fountain of Youth. I mean, as somebody who used to come to the Fountain of Youth, that's a crazy, crazy idea. I mean, it still doesn't seem real sometimes.
Talk a little bit about, as an announcer, and I'm imagining it is, but I'm not sure how extensive. Is prep work different for a day like this?
Yeah. I mean, I think for me personally, it's the physical end of it, because you're never going to convince yourself that it's just another day. I mean, I think that's what everybody would tell you, oh, it's just another day, and just call it like any other day. And physically, you just can't do it. The mind doesn't go that way. So my process is a little bit different. I try to get here earlier. I try to, stay calm. I mean, the thing about doing my job, and this is my personal opinion, everybody has the way they do it, but the number one advice I would give anybody who wanted to do my job, and I would even argue your job, you have to be relaxed. If you're not relaxed, you're dead. If you're in your own head, you're dead, whether you're working on camera for live TV or you're announcing races. So whatever you need to do to be relaxed and settle in is what you need to do. And it's just so much tougher on the big days.
You talked about your binoculars, and I'm always, when I go into the booth and interview track announcers, they have all different setups, rudimentary and whatnot. So what is your equipment like now?
Mine is probably the most rudimentary that you could find. I was just looking a couple months ago, because I bought my binoculars that I use now the first day I started at Gulfstream for Gulfstream as a reward for getting to be on staff. And I love them, but they're getting older. And I went the other day to price out new binoculars and look at new binoculars, and I went from a $200 pair to a $2,000 pair, and I can't find any I like. And one of the reasons why is I have big hands. So one of my nervous ticks, like Jason Beam at Tampa, he has to have his binoculars mounted. Some guys like their binoculars mounted. One of the things for me is like a safety blanket. I like to hold mine and have hold of them. Well, my hands are so big, and a lot of the newer model binoculars, they're chic. So they don't have the wide angle or the big cups, to hold.
Yeah.
Mine are a little older and they're wide angle, so I can actually hold on to them and not feel like I'm going to break them, like I have to hold them with two fingers now. So if anybody's got any old binoculars for sale, reach out to me, would you?
And is there image stabilization in binoculars now?
There is. Larry loves those. Those are super expensive. I don't have them. And I think for me, and I get why you would want to use them, because I used to have this bad nervous tick when I first started. My leg would shake uncontrollably. So when you're holding the binoculars, I think that's part of where that safety blanket for me came in. If I have firm hold of them, they won't shake.
Yeah.
So the image stabilizers are pretty expensive. They're amazing technology, but I've never used them.
And what do I know some people have that, like the program, little flap. What do you do as far as if you have to refer to the program?
Yeah, I don't color, which when people come and visit me in the booth, some of them are aghast that I don't color. Some of them are amazed that I don't color. So I guess, for me, when I first started out at River Downs, I would, I colored and I write phonetics out. I'd spend hours and hours and hours prepping. But for me, it goes back to what I was saying to you earlier about being relaxed. And I'd get in my own head, and I would feel compelled to look down, even though I knew the horse. And when I was first starting out, you get to do it over and over and over. Reps are important. And there was one day I said, man, I can listen to these replays and I hear myself looking down. So I'm going to just cold call this. I said, either I'm going to be completely lost or I'm going to be good. and it was good, and it was really crisp, and it was quick. And I said, well, that's the way I'm going to do it. So to this day, I mean, I think that anybody who's ever listened to me call a race would say it's probably a fair statement that either I'm dialed in or I'm lost. There's not really any in between, because either I know them or I don't. Either I'm comfortable with where everything or I'm not. So that's always been my methodology. So what I have is I have the little pocket program, much the same as we have a racing form here in front of us, and my pocket program's here, and I have a V in my window, and I just sit it on the V. And if I need to look down, you train your eyes where to look. And that's, that was one thing that I learned just from doing the job, is a lot of times it's not who is that, it's what's his name. So if you know who it is, then you can train your eyes, look down, number 7, Napoleon Solo. Then you just, know where you're at. Now, the one thing that complicates matters here at Gulfstream, and especially on the big days, it's a completely different mindset, is the big board. I can't see past that thing. And so when we cut on the live feed to that shot on the backside, the reason we do that is the cameraman can't see over that either. So I'm seeing what you're seeing at that point. And from a rhythm standpoint, that's a terrible spot for that board, because it's you're halfway home. So I have to
So
set
you have
them
to
up.
refer to the monitor?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
And I have to set them up in my brain, when they're getting ready to go past the 5/8, okay, they're getting ready to go behind the board.
Yeah.
Well, on a normal day, to be honest with you, that's my thought process. All right, they're getting ready to go behind the board. Well, when I'm calling the Fountain of Youth or the Pegasus or the Florida Derby, my mindset's not that. My mindset is don't mess up. Well, if I don't have that mindset of, wait, they're going behind the board, and it happened to me the first year that we had that board, I wasn't ready for them to go behind the board, and they cut to that shot, and that shot's a head-on.
Yeah.
So if you know where you train your eyes, it's fine. But if you're not ready for it, it's a problem. So if you want whatever, I forget the name of the horse, but it was the one horse in the Godolphin Blue one year in the Pegasus. I gave him a call when they went behind the board, because it's the only horse I recognized. And when you look at where I called him versus where he was, I was like 4 positions off, because I was just trying to get him back behind the board.
Yeah, because that shot's a head-on, so that makes it totally and you talk about getting more comfortable and whatnot, and your job and my job. I remember when I started doing this, I would have a list of questions for everybody, and then eventually you get comfortable and you get some bullet points, and eventually it just becomes a conversation. And I'm sure it's the same for an announcer.
Absolutely.
The more you do it, the more comfortable you become and develop your own process.
And that's exactly it, Seth. And one of the things for me too is I'm that way also. I don't like scripts, even if it's a promo read for a sponsor or whatever. Just give me some bullet points, because the problem I have, and I tell everybody, if you give me a script, I'm sorry, I'm not talented enough. It's going to sound scripted.
Yeah.
And I don't think that resonates as well with the audience.
Yeah.
I think it's better if it's just regular guys doing regular things, and you can connect to the audience. Because at the end of the day, I mean, this is my opinion. You tell me if I'm wrong, and I don't want to get off on a tangent, but as much as we're in the horse racing business, what you and I do, if we're doing our jobs, we're really not in the horse racing business. We're in the emotion business. We're in the emotion business, because if we're not resonating with our audience, for you, they're going to change the channel. For me, they're going to hit mute. So if and that's why for me, I don't mind trolls, because if you're trolling me, I've got you emotionally invested, even if it's the wrong way. You're still listening.
I'm now readjusting my mindset on that as well.
You're still listening. And you didn't turn the channel. You didn't push mute. So as long as you're emotionally invested in what I'm doing, even if you think I'm a loud, obnoxious, screaming lunatic, which some do, that you're fine. No problem. Everybody likes what they like.
I like that. And just before we let you go, you mentioned kind of getting drawn in by some calls that brought you into the game to become an announcer. You have a all-time favorite call from somebody?
Yeah, Dave Rodman, 2001 Preakness Point Given. Quick story. Don't want to go over the time you allotted me, but when Fierceness won the Florida Derby, it's only the second time in my life I cried during a race call after. And the first one was the first Pegasus. The first Pegasus, I cried because it was a career culminating moment. I didn't think I belonged at the upper echelon, and I felt like I had to prove myself. And so I didn't mess up. Don't mess up. But it was a little different process, because Dave and I are good friends. And the Tuesday before the Florida Derby, I realized that the storyline for Fierceness coming in was exactly the same storyline as with the Preakness 1 Point Given one, where he was expected to win the Derby and he didn't, and then he showed up for the Preakness and did what he needed to do. And I said, this is exactly the same storyline. So I text Rodman and I said, hey, I got an idea for the Florida Derby. That's all I said. And he texts back and he said, the real Fierceness, because that was the call, the real Point Given. And I said, yeah, but only if I have your permission. And he said, it would be my honor. So it was a full circle moment for me. It was the call that got me to want to do the job. And then I could do an homage to that call in the Florida Derby. And the craziest part about it is, before the race, if you had said, well, what does he say after the real Point Given? I don't know. So when I made the call, I said, fierceness, the real fierceness is putting on a show here in Hallandale. Then I went back after the race and listened to Rodman's Point Given call. Point Given, the real Point Given, has showed up to Baltimore and is putting on a show. It was exactly the same call. I didn't even know it. And it was amazing.
That's great. And Dave's great. They started the career. I think it was Marty with the Party. He was on the radio.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I love Dave. Fun story. Pete, appreciate the visit. And again, you got a big day ahead of you, so we let you get up to the booth and whatnot. We're up in the studio all the time watching you guys down here and appreciate your calls throughout the season. Keep up the good work.
Glad to be with you. Thanks for having me on.
Pete Aiello. All right, we'll take a break. Brian Nadeau will join us. We'll get a little handicapping info on the card today. Stay tuned.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
You like free money? Well, Capital OTB gives its players plenty of opportunities to cash in. At Capital OTB, there are so many ways for horse players to receive bonus dollars by simply participating in promotions such as our bankrolls, bounty bets, online handicapping contests, and much, much more. Plus, with Capital OTB's player rewards program, you get actual cash back. So what are you waiting for? Log on today at capitalotb.com or capitalotbbet.com and claim your free money.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back. We are live from Gulfstream Park. Happy to be here. Man, it is a gorgeous day so far. They're saying maybe showers a little bit later, but it's hard to believe now because you can see behind us. A gorgeous day. Temperature is just right, and it feels very good getting out of that weather up in upstate New York, which Brian got out of permanently because he's down here now. Our friend Brian Nadeau. Good morning.
Hey, buddy. Good to see you. The gang's all back in town.
Yeah,
Danny and Shannon. Good to catch up with those guys as well. And love seeing you all down here.
Yeah, we're happy to be here. And again, it was, we were talking the other day. It was funny to see you guys up in the studio. What was it, 3-4 weeks ago? You were in your studio. The inside. I don't even know if I knew you guys had a studio like that, but it was a little cold for you. What was it, like 40?
Yeah, we always preface our comments, Ronnie and I, when we talk, and Samantha for that matter too. But we having our upstate or New York presence for that matter, that we always preface our comments with things like, we know how bad it is in New York, but it's damn cold down here. It was like 40, 39 degrees. The first time I've ever been in that studio in the afternoon. We could not come outside. It was so cold. And of course, my parents are still in Half Moon there. And so I get to report a lot. It's been a hell of a winter. Huh?
Cold and snow. And so being down here is great. Yeah, I can remember years ago I was on the beach down here And it was 68 or something. But I'm down here. It's January.
You have to go to the beach. I always
Exactly.
kind of laugh.
Yeah.
I feel bad. I always have to laugh at those people. And there's a pool I can see from my balcony, and it's like 62, and people are at the pool because they have to be. They're here for that.
But I'm sitting there in my t-shirt and swimsuit, and the natives are walking by in parkas. It's like, geez. All right, let's get into it and some thoughts today. Obviously, the highlight is the Fountain Youth. I love your opinion because you can point to 4 or 5 in here and have kind of equal confidence. I said earlier on the handicapping show, I'm going to take a shot with Napoleon Solo, and Bick laughed at me. He said, "Take a shot. He's the second choice," and I get that. That's probably the wrong wording. But off the layoff, I think you are taking a little bit of a gamble with Napoleon. How will he be cranked up or whatnot? I didn't know what to do with Chief Wallaby, but I did go with Napoleon Solo. Jackson Hole's interesting. Commandment, and Bick was talking with the pace. Commandment may be the one to beat. How did you see the Fountain?
Yeah, I'll be shocked if they beat Commandment today based on what I saw in the Mucho Macho Man. I've never seen a horse in my life gallop out like he did, almost a half a mile past the field. He beat a bunch of tomato cans that day, but you said the flow of this race. I want to let everybody know Talkin is out too. We knew Global Aviator is out. The 3 Talkin is out too. P does. You just had Pete on. Love him. He's going to have all the scratches. There's kind of a lot of them today, a lot of long shot scratches. So that's pretty good. Anyway, the pace of this race on paper looks almost supersonic. There's a short stretch, short finish line. That's not necessarily going to help a Commandment, but it didn't hurt a Sovereignty last year. Certainly not comparing the two, but there is so much flow in this race. Solitude Dude on the outside has to go. Napoleon Solo's not giving anything away early. Chief Wallaby on a stretch was involved close last time. Certainly Rocky's Balboa, there's one path to victory for him, and that's probably on the front end. I see a meltdown. I don't even care what happens, to be honest. Commandment to me is so much better than these horses. This is by far, you would agree, you're more national than I am at this point of the year, in this job for that matter. By far the best 3-year-old race of the year, correct? Yeah. I'm totally against Napoleon Solo.
Oh, okay. I'm going to be, with that pace he put up in the Champagne, I'm going to be interested to see, certainly. And I'm going to be interested to see what Chief Wallaby does.
Yeah, it just, if you read the quotes from our guys in Welsh that Bill said, I was in the office when he said it, you just think he's got no chance. He just didn't sound like he wants to run here. He just kind of a little rock in a hard place with these 3-year-olds. He wanted to run tomorrow in a race that didn't go, and here he is. So didn't like it.
A little bit earlier, the 3-year-old girls, again, on these big days that with the 3-year-old boys, you always have a nice 3-year-old filly race. That's the Davona Dale Grade 2 event, 1-turn mile. I couldn't get past On Time Girl, but I thought She Be Smooth was interesting underneath in any exacta. Bick's taking a little shot with Omaha Bay, thinking Ian Wilkes coming into a stake off a maiden debut victory was interesting. How'd you see the Davona Dale?
It's tough right now on February 28th to get past On Time Girl. She was literally about 10 lengths the best in the forward gal. She had a trip that day. She couldn't get out. When she got out, she was just down the road on the best part of the track. Admittedly, the track seems to have turned a little bit. Seems very, very fair. Saw a horse come up the inside and hold yesterday. I don't think we have any worries anymore. A lot of these races that you're going to be handicapping today, a lot of the performances came out of races where horses were coming down the crown of the track, mid-track. If it's late in the game now, obviously.
Yeah, I talked to John Velasquez. I had an interview with him. And we were talking about the 1-hole at Jackson Hole, and he was saying the inside hasn't been. And then I saw an interview with Pletcher, and they were saying the inside. So you're thinking that things may have moved in the right direction there.
So if you are doing some last-minute homework today and you're watching replays and stuff, take note of anybody that was down on the inside the last out of these races that you're going to see. It was not a good spot to be. Omaha Bay is interesting. See, this is the other reason with On Time Girl. I think On Time Girl today is okay, but you got all these gals coming off maiden wins. You got the 3, the 4, the 7, and the 8. They're all really good horses, but they're spotting a lot of experience to On Time Girl today. Omaha Bay was freakishly good. They better in her maiden win. When she stretches out, and I know she's getting a mile today, I can't wait to see her go 2 turns. She's got this long, fluid stride. There does seem to be a pretty solid pace on paper, so I don't know if she's going to be able to shake loose. Like she outbroke the field in her maiden win, in her debut, and it was like game over. And she's dangerous if she gets loose. I don't see it happening. She Be Smooth was very, very good in her maiden win. And the horse she beat, Prom Queen, might turn out to be the best of all these gals. She was stunning in her next start. So that flatters She Be Smooth. I went 9-7-8 in here. Swing Vote, very fast maiden win, but the Lasix comes off today. That's a little bit of a.
And Swing Vote's interesting too because Omaha Bay beat Swing Vote in the debut, so that win by Swing Vote flatters Omaha Bay a little bit as well. I didn't use Omaha Bay, but when Vic was talking about that, interesting. But On Time Girl to me looks kind of tough in here. And I'll just before we wrap it up with you, I'll give you a chance as well. I asked Ron about it. Vic brought it up on his own, but I hear you guys talking about it all the time. That All Turf Pick 3 has become very popular.
Yeah, it's a great bet. It's a $3 minimum and a 15% takeout bet. The Tropical Turf Pick 3, and it routinely. I don't know if there's a day where it's never been twice the parlay.
Yeah.
It always outhandles what the parlay would be. And on a day like this where the pool will be as big as, one of the biggest we've ever had, it's a great bet. That is race 10 today. So the last 3 turf races of the card today.
Brian, appreciate the visit as always. And again, I said it to Ron, and I'll say it to you as well. Pass it along to Samantha if I don't see her. But you guys do a great job pre-game and pre-race as well. We enjoy watching throughout the season, but particularly, obviously, this time of the year with Fountain Youth Day and Florida Derby coming up. So appreciate your stuff.
You needed Pete on at about like 7:15 for all his great stories and stuff. Huh?
Yeah,
he's the best.
That was great. No question about it.
Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate it.
See you.
All right, I'm going to wrap it up here, but all those taped interviews we did yesterday, if you stay tuned, the guys up in Albany will run those. So let me just tell you, have Junior Alvarado coming up. He's going to be at Knightsbridge today. We talked about that one. We talked about his 2 runners in the Davona Dale and the Fountain of Youth. So Junior Alvarado, you get to look at some of those races as well. Dale Romans, just some quick thoughts on Rocky's Balboa. A little bit of a price in the Fountain of Youth, but we got his thoughts, and you'll get a look at his win in his last start. Jack Knowlton in Saratoga had an event upstairs yesterday, so caught up with Jack. He has Tiz Dashing coming up in the Canadian Turf. We talked about that horse and just Saratoga in general. And then got to meet Kevin Hatcher, who is a Saratoga partner. Met him at the party. I said, let's grab you for a couple of minutes. 17 years in the NHL. He was on the 98 Olympic team. So we talked a little bit about last week and the Olympics and how he got involved in the horse racing game. And he's now a Saratoga partner. So that was fun as well. All of that will be coming up again after we wrap up here. We'll run those tape pieces. So just stay tuned. We also have some Dubai action this morning coming up, so that'll get plugged in as well. But before I wrap up, I just have to thank everybody. Certainly here at Gulfstream, our man Dennis behind the camera, always doing a great job. All
Everybody
the guys
knows
upstairs, absolutely. All the guys upstairs here at Gulfstream, all the guys in the press office, Dave Joseph and company. Thanks for the hospitality to everybody here at Gulfstream. Always treat us well, and we always like to come down. On our side of things, Dan Hayes and Shannon Donovan down here with me. They've been great. And up in Albany, Dino Cantonacci and Anthony Probst putting things together up in Albany. So, again, thanks to the folks at Gulfstream for the hospitality. Really appreciate it. Always do. And hopefully you appreciate it as well. Yesterday, today, live from Gulfstream Park. Well, tomorrow morning we'll have some tape things reviewing some of the stakes action today. You can tune in for that. Otherwise, I have to be back up in Albany in the studio middle of the week, so we'll be back then. Oh, well, it's springtime's coming, right?
It's coming. I would have said, you hope.
Yeah, exactly.
Hell or high water, it's coming.
That's what I'm hoping for. All right, we're going to wrap it up now. Thanks again. And as I say, enjoy the rest of the day today. Don't forget tomorrow, the Rebel at Oaklawn, so a big weekend. But back in the studio in Albany on Wednesday. We'll see you then. Knightsbridge tomorrow in the Gulfstream Park Mile. He has been a monster the last few races. A 104 buyer, a 105 buyer.
Junior Alvarado in Knightsbridge. He's been at it from the bell. He went 3 quarters in 9-1. He looks like he put life and times away. Down the center, back him up from between tour player. They're 1/8 of a mile from home. It's Knightsbridge in front and still clear now by 3. Up into second at a big price is back him up. Back to third is life and times, but it's team sovereignty on Pegasus Day. It's Bill Mott, Junior Alvarado, and Godolphin with Knightsbridge who win the Fred Hooper. Second is back him up. It got close for third. Life and Times trying to hold off Racing Driver in 135 flat.
Is he just better now as a 5-year-old?
Yeah, I think he's a horse that, we always thought very highly on him. He's just a horse that it was hard to keep it in training for long. And I think this year, he's been putting a few races back to back. So I think he's in the best form right now. So, I think in this race, we drew on the outside. It's a good position for him. We get to see what's happening in the inside if somebody decides to go. But I just think he's the fastest horse in the race.
What's it like to be on? Like I say, the last couple of races, he's been a monster. What's it feel like to be on board?
It's an easy ride. He just get out of the gate, and then he knows what he's supposed to do. And like I say, he makes my job very easy. He's all business when it's time to run.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the other rides. Swing Vote in the Davona Dale, third in the maiden special to start the career. Been a nice win to get the maiden breaker. Both of those were at 6 furlongs, though. What do you think of Swing Vote stretching out in the Davona Dale?
Yeah, it's definitely we're looking forward for stretching out. She has a good pedigree to go a little farther, and I just think we always like to start a little shorter so they can get a good foundation. And I just think now that's her third time running. It's a perfect time for us to stretch it out a little bit. We're going against tougher competition this time, but I think she has done everything right so far to be able to compete with those fillies.
And finally, give me some thoughts on Chief Wallaby, who just give me some thoughts on the debut, which was spectacular.
Round the forward turn they go. Less than 3 furlongs remains. Javier Castellano, he's been very aggressive on the Puma. We'll see what he's got. Back to second is Nano second. Here's Chief Wallaby confidently handled in into third. Alarica working overtime. Halogen sent to light by Jockey Joel Rosario on the far outside. They're a quarter of a mile from home through a half mile in 45 and 3. The Puma, he has the lead. He'll have to turn back Chief Wallaby, who angles to his flank and tries to go get him. Final eighth of a mile. Here comes Chief Wallaby, and he's too much for the Puma, but these two both have serious talent as they've pulled well clear of the others. It's a Bill Mott debut winner, Chief Wallaby in front. The Puma second. You'll hear from both of them all season long. Alarica is third, close fourth, either Municipal or Halogen, 123 and 1.
Yeah, he was very sensational. He's a kind of horse that we thought we were gonna give it a good experience. And we did all that, and he was still able to give us a winner. We were more worried about to teaching him, doing everything the right way, sat him behind horses, and he did all that, and still was able, like I say, to put away a nice horse like the Puma, who finished fourth in the Tampa Bay. So, I think we're very excited with this horse too. His horse has done everything beautiful in the morning. So we're excited to see what's coming next for him.
And as a handicapper, I always think 7 furlongs is a tough distance to debut at. Is it Jockey, same thing?
Yeah, it's definitely because it's not the shortest distance, not the longest one. So you have to have somehow, you have to be kind of a little bit of sprinting at the same time and have a little bit of a finish and the 7 furlongs. So it's not that easy task for a first time out. And like I say, he was able to do that very easily.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Eddie Haskell, the leader. Rocky's Balboa poised to strike while on the Junior Alvarado grip from second. Outside All to Win is now third. Hawk at the rail fourth. 3-back Win Place and Show. He's fighting with John Velasquez, who tries to keep him straight while on the improve. The trailer is Trelawney. They round the far turn. Rocky's Balboa still under confident handling, blitzing at him on the outside. Win Place and Show was fifth, and he just made a huge move to the lead. The problem is he wants to lug out a touch here. They run to the top of the stretch, and Rocky's Balboa with inside position is still a contender here as Win Place and Show doing everything he can to throw it away. Back at the inside, it's Hawk. Then it's from between to All to Win. Eighth of a mile to go. Rocky's Balboa. He has the lead, and now he kicks away. Battling for second is All to Win, and Hawk. Win Place and Show definitely beat himself. It's Rocky's Balboa who's in front. Rocky's Balboa to win by 5. All to Win second. Hawk ran third. Win Place and Show ran fourth in 123 and 4.
He's a talented horse. It's a good field of horses. Everybody's looking for that breakthrough race, and he's one of them. But, I know he ran against inferior horses in Florida bred races, but he did it the right way. He can't pick who I put him against, and I just think he deserved a chance with the big boys.
What's the decision-making process in a situation like that? I mean, you're up against it, the calendar, when you're thinking maybe Kentucky Derby possibility, so you just take your shot. And
he's a 3-0 that can run. And so you put him in these big races, take a chance. He's very healthy. He's fast. We know that. And all he needs is a breakthrough race to go to the next level. It might be the 2 turns. Who knows?
How's he been working?
He's working great. That's the other thing. We wouldn't be in here if he wasn't training so good. He's so sound and healthy and feeling good. And he likes this racetrack. He's 2 for 2 here. So why not take a chance?
Just talk a little bit about you're down here this week and the event you held today.
Well, Saratoga Stable annually has a get-together for all the partners at Gulfstream. We had about 85 people here today, and give everybody a chance to get out of the cold north, which most of the people come from, and enjoy a day at Gulfstream and camaraderie, and get an update on what's going on with all the horses in the stable from Barclay Tagg and Robin Smallman.
Well, give us a little update. You and I were just talking before we went on the air here, and we had you on a few months ago because you had some horses, up for grabs, as it were, for new partners and whatnot. It sounds like that was a successful effort.
It really was. We were a little more aggressive this year than we typically are at Saratoga. We bought 5 horses, 4 yearlings at Saratoga sale, and 3 were there and 1 was down in Kentucky. We bought a Tiz the Law colt, and we also bought a 2-year-old in training in spring in Maryland, and he actually just won a race down here last week. So we're 1 for 1. Tomorrow we've got Tiz Dashing in a stake race here. It's a tough field, 8 horses. It's an even money shot, in the program, but we're hoping that he runs well and is able to, increase his buyer. He just got beat by a whisker in his last stakes race here at Gulfstream.
And talk a little bit about the last couple of races. I love the 3-year-olds on the turf, and that's what he was. He was in that subdivision last year and wound up very nicely. Captures the Hill Prince, and then, as you say, just misses in one of those last 3-year-old stakes of the year. So talk about winding up the 3-year-old season now, kicking off against Older to start this year on Saturday.
Yeah, he's been a really good horse and is actually one of the top earners at Tiz the Law. Tiz the Law currently is the number 1 sire of the 3rd-year crop. So he's really hitting it on all cylinders. And Tiz Dashing, we went outside our comfort level and actually bought him as a weanling. We've never done that before. All the owners are partners, or we're partners in Tiz the Law. So we had to wait some extra time, but he broke his maiden at Aqueduct, and was just gone on from there. Got a couple stakes placements and graded races at Saratoga last summer, and we took him to Kentucky Downs. Had a tough post and got a little tired going up the hill like a lot of them do, but that was a great trip. We had a lot of partners, had a lot of fun, and then brought him back, and Seth said won the Hill Prince, and just missed in the last 3-year-old stake here at Gulfstream.
So what are your expectations tomorrow?
I would be really happy if he hit the board. I think, the even money shot, run 101 and 99 buyers in the last 2 races. If he duplicates that, he's going to be awfully tough to beat. I think beyond that, even though we're 10-1 in the morning line, he's training great at a bullet work the other morning that I was up for. And, I think with a good trip, and if he, shows some improvement, he's got a shot to hit the board. And we're, looking, for a next race, if he doesn't win, maybe to take advantage of him being a Kentucky bred and running for 130,000 non-winners of 3 races at Keeneland.
Very good, Jackie. Wish you a lot of luck.
Thank you so much.
All right, as I said, I looked up some stats. 17 seasons in the NHL, 5 years on the U.S. national team. You played in the Olympics. You went into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2010. You were an NHL All-Star 5 times. Pretty nice resume. I'm curious how you got into the hockey game. I see you went into the Hall of Fame with your brother. So was it a family kind of a thing?
It was. My father was a huge sports fan as we were young. And he really just, anytime he had an opportunity to put us on the ice, whether it was a pond outside or build us in a rink in the backyard, we were on it. I contributed a lot of that to my father.
And so where did you grow up and how did you progress from a kid into the NHL?
So I grew up in Sterling Heights, suburbs of Detroit, which is kind of now a hotbed for amateur hockey. We have great associations, Little Caesars, CompuWare, Honey Bake, a lot of players, and not to mention development program for the USA. A lot of players are starting to come out of the Detroit area to play at the highest level.
So you were up on the national team. You were on the Olympics team. I have to ask you what your reaction was to last weekend.
I was ready for it. Being part of the 1998 Olympic team in Nagano, Japan, we didn't have as much success. So I was really cheering them on. And being so proud to be a United States citizen and born in Detroit area. That meant a lot to me, and it probably meant more to me than anybody would know.
And it was, the double with the men's and the women's team made it kind of extra special.
Yeah, at least the women's, I believe they actually won in 1998, and the men's, they haven't won since 1980, and prior to that, 1960. So, we're talking 40 years, and, that's a long time, and to be against such a huge rival in Canada, I mean, there's no secret on the ice. You can tell their rivalries, and what a great game and a great finish.
So now I have to ask you, how'd you become a horse racing fan?
My father, once again, he had friends in the area that back then it was Hazel Park that's no longer around, and it was the harness horses. And so I would go down there when my dad was able to bring me. And ever since then, I always liked it. When I was in the NHL, if we had time, me and Aiello we'd go check out some horses.
Aiello.
Hey,
yeah.
Hi, Aiello.
We know he is a big horse racing fan for sure. And so now, how'd you get tied in with Jack in Saratoga?
Well, that goes back, it's kind of a unique story. So we have a friend back home in Detroit area that was Craig Stadler's caddy. So there was a guy that was part of the Saratoga Stables conglomerate, and he turned us on to it. So it was the two caddies that knew each other, and then they introduced us to Jack, and it's a first-class operation. We really enjoy it.
That's great. So you're having fun?
Absolutely.
How often do you get to the track?
Well, I go to Saratoga for a week every year, and then we do this event every year. So not enough.
Well, we're happy to have you on board as a horse owner, and as you say, Jack in Saratoga, top notch. So wish you a lot of good luck in the future. Appreciate the visit.
Great. Thank you very much.
We'd like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park's championship meet features great racing now through Florida Derby weekend at the end of March.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.